All right, so a question we get pretty often is how do I get to Google Analytics and what do I do when I get there? So basically, Google Analytics is kind of a data aggregator that takes a lot of the information coming from your website in terms of users and pages and browsers and funnels it into a semi user friendly format. It's a ton of data, and so they do their best job of kind of presenting it in a friendly way, but most people, once they log on to Google Analytics for the first time, are pretty overwhelmed. So that's the point of this video, is to show you how to get there and kind of some of the key things you want to be looking for, because you don't need to look at everything, and that can kind of, that being overwhelmed can kind of stop you from doing anything. So we don't want that. So first thing to know is that you need a Google account in order to access Google Analytics. So if you were one of our clients at 118 Group, we've added this. We are tracking the data on your website. We've set that up. That's part of our build process, and we add you as a user after the during the process. And so, but we can only add users who have Google accounts. So if you do not have a Google account, it's worth just setting up a Gmail that we can use, and whatever, even if you don't use it, even if you prefer Yahoo or MSN, set up a Gmail that you can use to access Google Analytics. So once you've done that, an easy way is to just search in Google Analytics, and this is the slug, analytics.google.com. So that's going to be the first place you go. And so once you get here, obviously it's going to look more like a login process for you. It's going to ask for your information, username, password for your email, and whatever else. And so once you get in, it's going to look a lot like this. So this is kind of the home page dashboard, and this is how it's going to look for you. And you're not going to have all sorts of accounts and stuff and all sorts of information over here, but you will see this. And so basically, this is some of the main stuff you want to pay attention to. That's kind of why they put it all on this screen. It's an easy visual way to look at it. So you have your users, and basically a user is what it sounds like. How many individual people have visited your site. So this is the last 7 days. You can and we're not going to get too deep in here as to how to customize this, but you can change date ranges. Sessions, so you have users, which is individual users. Sessions is browsing experiences. So one user could have multiple sessions if they were inactive for a certain period of time, 30 minutes, and then came back. So a session is could have multiple users. Bounce rate, that's just the percentage of people who land on your site and then are gone immediately. And then session duration, or bounce rate, they don't navigate to another page. And this is always a high number. Don't be discouraged. And session duration, that's the average time of each session. So, and again, these are the sessions. This shows you where you're getting your traffic from. So the key things people generally want to look at is their traffic coming from social? Is it coming from organic search, referrals, direct? We can't dive too deep into what each one of those means, but social, obviously, it's some sort of social media platform. Organic search is, they typed in, for us, it might be web design Cape Cod and, whatever. And referral would be they were on another website that had a link to our website and they clicked directly. So there's a couple, there's all sorts of different ways to get to a website. Here you have a cohort analysis, which we can't get into. This might be useful, but it might be, mostly, it's probably going to be mostly the US. And then this is also really important. This is your page, your most popular pages and the number of page views. So this is a good way of knowing, what pages get the most action for you. And again, this is, these are all the last 7 days. So there's a lot of good stuff here. What top devices, that's really interesting. You can look at real time. You can look at who's on your site right now and where are they coming from. So, that's useful if you have some sort of a sale or you have some sort of a big announcement or something. You might want to be tracking what's going on in real time. You have audience, and all these it's all pretty self-explanatory. You can look at what language your audience speaks, which country they're coming from, what city they're coming from most often, browsers, operating systems. You can look at demographics, interests. Again, we won't dive too deeply into this, but the other key thing is behavior. So this kind of shows you the behavior flow. Um, and so to look at behavior flow, behavior flow. This gives you an idea, and obviously, it can be kind of confusing at first, but it gives you an idea of how people are navigating through your site. It's a very useful tool. I recommend you spend some time trying to get to know it because I can't, explain all this in this session. There'll be more in-depth Google Analytic videos coming up in the future, but just for beginning purposes, I would take a look at this, and then I would Google, a YouTube video on how to understand behavior flow. This might be, one of the key things you want to know about how people use your site. It tells you a lot about your user experience and everything else. So, that's a real quick, and we'll do acquisitions as well. Again, this is just showing you how people are getting to your site, and whatever else, and bounce rates based on the referral source. So, take a look at all this, spend some time. It's a very, very brief overview. We'll go more into depth later, but just so you have an idea of where you can find this information and what kind of information is here. So, hope that was helpful.